Hey Nerd Herd, Dynasty Nerds here, back with another YouTube video. This week we are kicking off a new series, breaking down some Dynasty teams, a Dynasty team audit. I'm here with my good friends Nerd Herd, Garrett Price.
How's it going?
Jared Wackerly.
I thought you were giving us like a prefix to our names. Nerd Herd Garrett Price and Nerd Herd Jared Wackerly. Hello.
I had to start over again.
Nope,
too late.
Bannering.
Were we bannering? Or do you want me to start over?
We're Bruce bannering.
Let's keep it going, baby.
So here we are. We're looking at a team here in the DynastyGM. We chucked it in here. We're kind of like going to this team a little bit raw. You know, we haven't really had time to dive in. So we're going to look at this team and see, hey, what can we do with BGLOVER's team here? We see it's a 12-man team.
BGLOVER's. We're going raw.
Is this Superflex or 1QB?
This is 1QB.
So 1QB PPR league. It looks like right now, Garrett, give everybody like a little rundown here. If they've never seen the DynastyGM, give them a little taste of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, see, if you've never seen it before, this is probably blowing your mind right now that you're just seeing all of these values, all of these names. There's so much to take in, all this stuff on the side. I don't even know that we're going to get to all this. But we'll at least start with the league analyzer. The league analyzer here is looking at all 12 teams in this league, and it's giving them numerical values based on how good they think the Dynasty squad is. So you look at like the top team here, overall 68,000 points, and they're really strong at running back, really strong at receiver, still have a lot of their draft capital. But the team that we're looking here today is BGLOVER or BGLOVER or BGLOVER, something like that. This team is kind of your middle of the pack team. You look at it right now, we're looking at 6th. You remove the draft picks. It puts them just in the exact same spot contender-wise, and we do have Dynasty mode and contender mode. The difference is Dynasty is just basically looking at your overall value of your team. Contender is how likely you are to compete this season. And it didn't really change much for this team. You can see it's a strong running back team overall, but it's still the 7th best team in this 12-team league. And if you ever listen to the Dynasty Nerds pod, you never want to be in the middle. So we're going to try to fix that today.
Let's go through his team, who he has.
Let's start from the top.
All right, at the top here, we have Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, Justin Fields. Would love this in a super flex league, but it's only a 1QB. So there's good names at the top here, but you're only going to be able to play one of them.
Yeah, but still strong nonetheless. I mean,
Absolutely.
You still got, all three of those. Well, Watson, a year removed from leading the NFL in yardage. Matthew Stafford just won a Super Bowl, very solid top, right around that QB 8-9 range, and then Fields with all the upside. So that to me immediately says, hey, I have some trade value here in Matt Stafford, either to contender. We see the number one team, his quarterback. You can't even see the word QB. It's not as strong. QB, just red. So that's a possibility.
You can see these teams here. Best quarterback on this team, Zach Wilson. The best one's Tua here. Aaron Rodgers, we don't know what's going to happen. So, there's a lot of teams here that could potentially use an upgrade at quarterback.
But I immediately see, Garrett, that the team, number one team right there, the very first team there, his quarterbacks, go to his quarterbacks. What are they?
Dak Prescott's his guy, so he should be just fine.
So he's good. And that's the thing, 1QB, it limits that trade value because all you need is one.
Yep, that's
it's
all you need.
Just be Neo. You can be the chosen one. You're good to go. So what's his running backs? Let's see does he got something here? Does he got something he can work with here? Because obviously if you're going to trade, the easiest commodity to trade is going to be a running back. A good running back's always going to get you a good return.
Yeah, Javonte Williams, obviously, dynasty-wise, he has the most value. 9 times out of 10, the list you're going to see is he's going to be in the top 5 as far as running back value goes. So he is going to be a huge commodity. If we decide that this is a blow-up team, he's going to be a huge commodity there. But if it's a let's try to add a couple pieces to make a push, he's going to lead the way. Derrick Henry is the ultimate contender versus rebuild player. Great guy to have on your contending team because he's going to get the ball a ton. But if you're middle of the pack or, at the end, not a guy you really love. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is interesting this year. Didn't have great season the past 2 years. A little bit banged up, had some issues, but could easily be one of those sneaky, third-year breakout type of players. And then it's just a lot of filler pieces after that. Patterson looked decent. Gus Edwards will be back from injury, but he'll be backing up Dobbins. Murray, we don't even know for sure what he's going to be doing this year. So not a lot after those top 3 guys.
And you really just say top 2. Clyde Edwards is just an upside guy who's been outdone by Darrell Williams, by Jerick McKinnon. Still a fan of Clyde Edwards-Helaire's talent and where he can go. And the big thing that you loved about Dynasty is a first-round pick, so you had that 5-year window. Well, we're about to be into year 3 already, and we've got nothing out of it. So that 5-year contract already is starting to not look as attractive for Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate.
So he's really got 2 for sure running backs, because I definitely call Javonte a for sure running back. So his quarterbacks are good, his running backs are solid. Okay. Let's see if he can kind of get something here at receiver possibly, but he's got to be stuck in the middle for a reason. So my seat's not on fire here.
Jared, what do you think about these receivers here? We have CeeDee Lamb, Calvin Ridley, Elijah Moore. Those are guys that we've talked a lot about on the Dynasty Nerds podcast. What are your thoughts on this wide receiver room?
I think he's got a few really good building blocks, not a lot of depth. So far on this team, I think we're looking at a possible blow-up, trading away like a Jarvis Landry, Matthew Stafford if we can, maybe trying to acquire, I don't know who his tight ends are, but maybe trying to acquire a younger tight end or a couple younger receivers that we could build on a little more, get rid of Derrick Henry. That's what I'm thinking so far.
100% you're getting you're trading away Derrick Henry. And you say blow up. I mean, what are we blowing this up with? Those little poppers that you throw on the ground and you give your 5-year-olds and they get a little snap, those snap-its? Because
I'm trying to get off of 5 or 6 or 7 and get back into 10, 11, 12 here.
Well, what I like here is the core here. Like, if you're blowing it up, I mean, this is a solid core with CeeDee Lamb, Calvin Ridley, Elijah Moore. Now, you got to remember, Calvin Ridley, who did not play last year, he took himself out of the game to get his mental health right, and now he's requesting a trade as well. He is 27 years old, so he was an older rookie coming out, so he's already 27 years old. But I love Elijah Moore. Darnell Mooney is like a perfect wide receiver 4 with the upside. Sure. Jarvis, and that's the thing, Jared, you say blow it up and let's start moving some of these guys. Like, you're not getting anything for Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, right.
You wouldn't get a second-round pick for Jarvis Landry. For him, for the depth that he needs at receiver, he's probably better off holding.
If I'm
Jarvis
a contender,
Landry
I would give a
so
second
far.
for Jarvis Landry, a late second.
Okay. And then, so obviously I don't even see tight ends down here. What's he working with that tight end?
It's like the thinnest little bar. It's like that gif of who's that actor? I don't know. This is a terrible comment because I can't. I'm describing a picture and I can't even show you what it is. So never mind. But anyway, it's a very tiny bar, and all we have here.
Stop pulling up your manhood, Jared.
is Irv Smith Jr. and Logan Thomas. Now, I love Irv Smith Jr., but he's not somebody I'm wanting to count on as my tight end 1. He's my tight end 2 with upside. So I'm a little nervous about the tight end room here.
Dude, that tight end room is about as bad looking as me sitting alone in front of a mirror. Not very good looking there. So,
what draft picks does he have?
I'm hoping he has 1-6. Okay, all right, that's it.
1-4.
1-4.
Oh well, my vision's not what it used to be.
Yeah, so he's got 1-4, 2-4. No other picks in the next couple of years in the first rounds. So
he's got the first round pick in 23.
Right, but no
24.
extra.
Correct.
In that range, he's looking at, Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Jameson Williams, maybe Isaiah Spiller. Probably not, though.
Probably not in 1 QB.
No Traylon Burks. Probably not even Garrett Wilson. So, in a weak draft class. So we'll go one by one here. My immediate just dynasty quick analysis is going to be Derrick Henry's got to go, and I'm also using that 1-4 right now because to me this draft class is going to be the hype's going to rise definitely for the NFL draft. And there's going to be a lot of wide receivers taken pretty high in this NFL draft. I think even though a lot of these receivers are going to come high, I think a lot of these receivers are going to be more bound to be wide receiver 2s in the NFL, and we're not going to see that great class we've been seeing, like the Justin Jeffersons. The fuck is wrong with these fucks? So I think we're seeing a lot of wide receiver 2s. I think that 1-4 right now holds really good value. I think even from here in NFL drafts, it holds some 1 value. So I think if somehow we could figure out a way to move Matt Stafford, we can move Derrick Henry, and we can move that 1-4, we might be able to do a little something here. I think worst case scenario, I'm more attracted to a guy like Kenny Walker, over maybe some of the receivers for the way his running back room looks.
Can I say something that's going to be a little controversial, especially for me?
Yes, say it.
I would consider moving Javonte.
I would consider moving both those running backs.
And I know that seems counterintuitive for people who are like, he's a second-year running back that split carries last year. Like, he's fresh. He even split in college. Like, he is a top 5 guy, but he's a top 5 guy. Like, that's the one player in here that you can get rid of and get a massive, massive return. And as much as I love Javonte, and I do, he was my number 1 prospect coming out last year. Like, I'm a huge fan of Javonte Williams. He hasn't necessarily proven that he is worth the top 5 pick. Now, age-wise and everything, like, I'm putting him there because I don't want to draft Dalvin Cook over him. I don't want to draft some of those players. But it's not like it's Jonathan Taylor where we've actually seen it happen. So, and we don't even know what's happening with Melvin Gordon. He could be back next year as well. So there's still enough question marks around Javonte Williams that I would look to maybe move Javonte and get a boatload of draft capital to help take my team. It's going to tank your team for this year. I mean, you're going to be one of the bottom 2 teams, but that'll only help you for the long term.
Yeah, so let's talk about this as a whole, because for Derrick Henry was for sure, and there's no way. The way I kept looking at him, like, what are you going to move here? You just can't move Derrick Henry. This team's too far behind. They have a good core. You can't move Ridley. The value's too down here, but you're definitely moving Henry, and you're right. You know, I think what this goes to show you, Garrett, and to all our viewers here is biggest mistake you can make in a team like this, where you're in the bottom 5, right? Like, it looks good. That starting lineup's pretty solid with no tight end. This is the kind of team that can start the season off 3-0, right? 3-0, 4-0, and then all of a sudden those bye weeks hit, and you just start losing every game because you got no depth. If one person gets hurt, you're screwed, and you're consistently going to be in the bottom of the league, the bottom 4. So I think some of these teams, the mistake is, hey, I have one of those top 3 dynasty startup running backs. I can't trade them. But to blow a team up, or not even blow a team, to rebuild a team, you have to trade those kind of assets. You have to get a big return back. Otherwise, you're doing 1-for-1 deals, and you're not going to get where you need to be. And Derrick Henry's going to, like Garrett said, Garrett Henry's going to get you a solid return, but Javonte Williams is going to give you a monster return. There's a possibility here. There's some good running backs we can get back for both those guys on top of the draft capital, on top of that tight end that we need, and on top of maybe another receiver to give us a little depth here. I mean, there's some running backs out there you can target right now, guys like Josh Jacobs, Michael Carter. This is what the league analyzer is going to do for you too here as well, is kind of guide you to see, again, nobody wants to go through every single roster, right? Like, okay, who needs a running back?
Yep. And so I'm going through all of these teams right now, looking at maybe who could use a running back, but who might also have some receivers that would be good. This is a team that's kind of on the cusp that I think's interesting. I'm pointing to S. Rogers right now. I don't know if you can see that. He does here's the problem. Look at most of his wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is almost untouchable. Okay. And outside of that, all these receivers are pretty old. So that's what makes this pretty tricky, is I don't think you're going to want any of those pieces. This is why I like maybe looking at Rodgers here, because he's got a decent running back room, but it's far from a sure thing. J.K. Dobbins, we think, is going to have a good year. Aaron Jones, we know he's getting cut into by A.J. Dillon. Elijah Mitchell, a guy we like, but once again, we have no idea what the 49ers backfield's going to do. Miles Sanders is a question mark. James Conner's a question mark. So there's a lot of question marks, and this is a team that could catapult maybe into the top tier. And there's some young receivers that maybe could be part of the equation. Maybe a Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel. Yeah. So let's maybe move over to
who's his quarterback.
Let's
I guess you bring that up in the trade. So Garrett, let's move over to the trade calculator. Is that what you wanted to do?
Yep. Let's move over to the trade calculator here. Let's give up Derrick Henry. Let's put him on the trade here.
So let's start here, though, Garrett, for new users here. When you bring up the Dynasty Nerds GM, right, and you have a lot of trade calculators out there today, and you're inputting and you're looking at, hey, what does this player have on his team? When you're logged into the Dynasty GM, our trade calculator will bring up the league that you're in, and all those assets are right there for you to see. There's no going back to see who's on that player's roster to guess. All those assets that you can make a trade for are there for the pick and immediately in your Dynasty GM trade calculator.
All right, so let's pull up Rodgers' team here. And, we talked about some of those young wide receivers. Somebody that's going to be a close 1-for-1 deal would be Deontay Johnson. Now, our trade calculator has the value with Deontay Johnson. Our website, obviously, we value wide receivers pretty heavily, but there is some question marks with Deontay next year. We don't know who his quarterback's going to be at this point, but he has been very successful. How would you guys feel about this type of deal if you could get it done? Like I said, we have Deontay ranked higher, so I don't know that you could, but would you like this kind of deal?
I would love this trade if I'm BGLOVER. I mean, getting a young wide receiver back that you can build around, getting rid of a Derrick Henry whose value is starting to go lower and lower as the years go on.
Who's his quarterbacks again?
He has some decent quarterbacks on the other team here.
So he does not need a quarterback whatsoever.
No, he's got Justin Herbert, so
that hurts. Now, in my eyes, I think this is a fair deal, but I don't know how this is helping. Like, I don't know how this helps to reload right away. Like, I don't know where the long-term value is here when we have 3 young receivers. Where's Deontay Johnson slip in here? Like, is there a way to squeeze in? Like, how do we get Miles Sanders back in this trade?
Well, the hard part is, do we really want running backs back? Because in a rebuild, I'd rather wait till the 23 class and then get all my running backs.
So is the plan here then just to completely rebuild it and try and get that 23 Bijan Robinson? Is that
that's
the
what
plan?
I was
If
thinking.
that's the case, okay. If that's the plan, then I don't want Miles Sanders whatsoever. Yeah, I'm with you on that then.
All right, so let's maybe look at that, and then let's see like 23 first. So obviously that's not going to happen. Like, you're not going to be able to make this deal. However, if you were to throw in your 104, because we were talking, this is more of a wide receiver class. Would you make this deal? If this was the deal on the table, he said, look, Deontay's worth more than Derrick Henry. I want your first this year. It's 1-4. It's a high pick. I'll give you my 23 first in return. This is pretty equal. Would you make this deal?
Because you're not getting Treylon Burks. I like Deontay Johnson over the rest of the other options here.
Yeah, he's
I'd take
proven.
Deontay Johnson. Maybe him and Garrett Wilson are going to be pretty close.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson is your draft pick, is your wide receiver you would take.
It's tough. It's close.
You're going from 1-4 to a late.
This will more than likely be a later first-round pick. That is correct. If you're giving this team Derrick Henry, you're assuming that they're going to be a contender.
But what's he left at receiver though? After this,
The Rodgers, he would still have Jamar Chase and Deebo Samuel. The tough part is you're correct. After that, it falls off pretty quick. You're looking at guys like Kenny Golladay and Josh Reynolds. So, I mean, it falls off pretty quick.
Could we give him Jarvis Landry and then a second? Would that get us close?
that's what I'm thinking. Can we get? He's probably going to want a little something back, and we're not moving Elijah Moore.
Would you be willing to move Mooney instead of your pick?
Yes.
I'd be much more willing to move Mooney instead of the pick.
Maybe even give him Jarvis Landry on top as well to help, give him two guys in the wide receiver core, give him a little bit of depth. Look at those exact same value.
Yeah, he's missing the depth at receiver. So we know he's missing depth at receiver as it is. He's got, with Deontay Johnson, he's got 3 guys, and that's pretty much it. So even though we're taking Deontay Johnson back, we're giving him 2 high upside guys with the Derrick Henry. He might not like the first. I could easily see a counter here of him asking for a second back on top of that. So, like, are you guys okay with giving 2-4? Are you guys okay with giving a guy in that caliber like a Dameon Pierce back?
I'm willing to overpay a little bit. Yeah, I would be willing to overpay. In a 1 QB league, 2-4 isn't going to be super valuable to me. There's going to be a lot of running backs in that range, and it's going to be tough to figure out who you're going to be, who's going to hit. I know Jared specifically likes Dameon Pierce, so you probably made his decision harder as soon as you said that name.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I'd probably want to leave Landry out then if you wanted a second instead, but obviously Landry's valued a little more, so that probably wouldn't happen. I would then try to get at least another draft pick back, maybe in 2024, get a second back, something like that.
Okay. So we're saying this is pretty close, and obviously it doesn't necessarily have to be this exact deal, but these are some things to think about. Now, let's look at instead, the other position that was of great need on this team was there were zero viable tight ends, but nobody that you're wanting to start right now. So let's look at Javonte Williams, because this was the other main trade piece that we were looking at here. This team didn't have, I don't believe that they had great tight ends, but let's go back to our league analyzer real quick. Let's look at teams.
We're immediately looking at Deebo Samuel for the Javonte Williams trade, but I don't think this is a good trade partner for Javonte. And I think what Javonte gives you the option too here, guys, is you're no longer just looking at contenders. Javonte
Correct.
opens up the floor to make trades with everybody.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could talk to, this is a team with a lot of draft picks here. Your boy Trav. All right. So he at tight end, he has TJ Hawkinson, which is an interesting name. And then he has 1, 2, 1, 7, 1, 8. And then he has 2 and 1, 9 as well. And then 2 2023 first. So he has a lot of draft capital. So let's look at your boy Trav and let's see if maybe we could get a deal done with him. And so we'll go back to our trade calculator and we're going to put Javonte on the block. And here it is, your boy Trav, right? The first one up. TJ Hawkinson is a tight end that I think we all like, right?
He's a must. Yep. We want a 23 first.
Okay.
And we're asking for his 23 first because his team's already kind of doo-doo butter.
And we don't know which one that is, so we'll throw that in there. Do you think you can milk 23 firsts?
So here's the thing. His team is clearly the worst team, right? So the way I'm looking at this is, and you guys are the Devy guys, so you know a little bit more. So my number one running back out the gate is Bijan Robinson, right? Am I off base there?
No.
So is Bijan Robinson a better running back than Javonte Williams?
Yes.
Okay.
As a prospect, probably.
Okay.
Obviously, Javonte's worth more now because we know. But.
Right.
And all signs point that way.
Correct.
So I'm okay with taking this first in the hopes that I can get Bijan Robinson to replace Javonte Williams. Right?
With your own pick.
And on top of that, if he has the 1-1 and I'm getting rid of Javonte, I'm probably going to be pretty much his neighbor, bringing over a fresh cake, welcome to the neighborhood, or he's going to be welcoming me to the neighborhood of Shittsville, and I'm going to have about 1-2. So
yeah, and we assume we made that other deal, right?
let's assume we made the other deal.
Yeah.
And we still have 1-4 here. Do we offer him Irv Smith back?
Maybe. Because he already has 102, 108, 109 in this year's draft anyway. Yeah. So why don't we say, because a lot of times guys want to keep the higher one. So yeah.
Higher one.
Yeah, so we'll put 1-8 in there.
Yeah, so 1-8, because that now you're looking at probably getting Jamison Williams.
Sure, exactly. Or Kyron Williams,
which
maybe,
I'm really comfortable with.
if you're looking at running back.
Now I'm interested.
And who do we say we're giving up? Irv Smith Jr.?
Yeah, Irv Smith.
Give him a little bit of depth there. That's a pretty darn close according to our calculator. You're getting 1-8, which is a late first. You're getting a 23 first, which you're hoping is going to be inside the top 5. But between yours and theirs, you have 2 good shots at the top overall pick. And if not, there's a lot of good other running backs like Jamar Gibbs, Sean Tucker, Tank Bigsby. There's a lot of good guys in that draft class. So I think it's going to be more similar to the 2020 class, where it's like get inside the top 4 picks and you're going to get a really good running back. I think it's going to be closer to that.
So I absolutely love this trade for this team, and I think this is a deal you could possibly get done. It depends how the other team values draft picks. Some people just he might have a lot of draft picks for a reason.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But if this deal here can get it done, which obviously our calculator says we're doing a slight overpay, which I have no problem whatsoever. We're doing 2 things here. We're solving our tight end problem with a young top 4 fantasy football tight end. That's going to be a top 5 fantasy football tight end, most likely for the next 5 to 7 to 8 years here. Mm-hmm. We're getting an additional 23 first-round pick. We're making our team significantly worse. If we pull that Derrick Henry trade off, there's a very good chance that this team finishes with the 1-1.
Sure.
So then we're not even relying on this other team of your boy Trav to get Bijan Robinson. So now we're in position to, what we're doing is we'd be getting Jamison Williams or something along those lines. Worst case, maybe like a Drake London here at 1-8. So we're getting another young receiver, and we already like our young receiver core of 3 potentially here. Yep. So now we're adding 4, and we also still have 1-4 this year to add one of those guys if we want. So what we could do if you wanted to at 1-4, you could go receiver and solve that problem by going, you take Garrett Wilson and then you take Jamison Williams, and those are your first 2 picks. And then now we're in line to have 2 very high first-round picks in 2023, so you can come out of those with both 2 starter running backs, or you could flip the script and take a Kenneth Walker there at 1-4 and get yourself set up and ready. Leave him on your taxi squad so you're still struggling, and get ready for that 23 class. Then you go into that 23 class with Jamison Williams, who will be a full year removed off his ACL, 3 solid running backs. You have Kenneth Walker, who I actually like a ton, and then if you draft 2 running backs at 1-1 and say 1-2 or 1-3, you're coming out the gate with 3 very young running backs. We
Didn't we get
literally
another-
flipped the script on this team in 1 year.
We got another 23
trade.
first with Deontay Johnson too, didn't we?
And
trade?
then Deontay Johnson too. If say all these trades go through, you're right. We would have Deontay Johnson. So
And we have
would-
3
I would
first round
definitely
picks in
probably go-
2023.
I don't know about you. I'd probably lean towards Kenneth Walker then, because you have Deontay Johnson, you have 4 good young receivers, and then Jameson Williams for the upside. You draft Kenneth Walker now. You still have that stable of quarterbacks, and then
Get Jackson Smith and Jigba next year. Bijan. Woo.
and this is why you always flip running backs. Any kind of reload mode, like Garrett said before, you don't want any on your roster. You need to finish as high as you can because and acquire these young receivers, because when you do that, when you're ready to flip the script, it's the easiest way to go from 0 to hero. Because then you literally take this team with 4 young receivers. Your only problem is you have no running backs. If you go into 23 with Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker, and whatever running back you get, you immediately become a contender if Deshaun Watson bounces back.
Tell us what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's I think it's supposed to be pulling in 1 QB trades, but it looks like with some of these values, I'm guessing some of these are super flex trades. So it's throwing me for a loop a little bit here, but I'm looking in our trade finder here, and what I'm looking is to see, this trade that we just threw up there for Javonte Williams. Is this something that's a realistic trade? Here's a good one up top. Javonte Williams for Saquon Barkley and a 2022 first. That shows you how high Javonte Williams is valued, because Saquon Barkley was the guy a couple years ago, and many think, especially under Brian Dable, that he can still be a very solid asset, and you got a 2022 first on top of it. Look down here, Javonte Williams, you get a 23 first and Terry McLaurin. Javonte Williams for J.K. Dobbins and a 22 first. So there's a lot of big names that you're getting. This must have been Matt here that made this trade. That's the only one
I
that
like
makes
it.
sense.
Obviously, Javonte Williams is valued very high right now, rightfully so.
That's got to be something where something happened.
I'll tell you what, guys, I really like the
it's not a real
trades, the
trade.
2 trade scenarios we laid out here. I think
Look at this one here. This is so close to what we just did. You give up Javonte Williams and Cole Kmet. You get in the return TJ Hawkinson, a 22 first, and J.K. Dobbins, who's worth at minimum a 23 first, closer to 2 first. So this is definitely a very realistic trade.
It's in that range.
We saw one that went down
Guy
very
got
similar
fleeced.
to that.
I think if this team owner could pull off both trades that we just said, it puts him in a good position, and he still has one of those quarterbacks he could still flip for.
Mm-hmm. Let's look and see who we can trade Stafford for real quick.
Sure.
See
So
if
there's 2 teams
So go to contender.
that could use them.
Well, they got to be contender for the most part.
And that's going to be the tough part in 1 QB. None of these teams need it. Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes. So
What about that? What about the next team right there? Mahomes. That's,
Derek Carr and Tua, so maybe.
Yeah, we
That's
can
his
talk
team.
to these fringe guys.
Oh,
You
no,
know, there's
no.
always those fringe
Yeah,
teams
this
that
guy.
think they can make it.
All right, so let's look
Those
at
are my
CS
favorite trade partners.
Let's look at CS Kiernan, whatever that is.
yeah.
Let's look at his trade. Let's see if maybe we can make a quick deal for Stafford. Maybe don't get a lot for him. But
I'm just looking to get a pick.
He's got a lot. He's loaded at tight end. So what can we do to back up Hawkinson?
all right. Let's see. We've got.
I'd love to try to get a 2024 first.
All right, so he's got
2024
some
first
big
would be
names
great.
here, but as we scroll down a little bit, Mike Gesicki's on this roster.
And he's got Kelsey. Okay.
That could be an interesting guy. If the Hawkinson deal doesn't work out, or there's some other player that gets put in instead of him, Mike Gesicki could be a potential target with some upside there. This team doesn't have any picks, it looks like. Oh, it does down here. For some reason, they're not. We're in contender mode. That's why. My fault. Rookie mistake.
Flippers. You're good, man.
I doubt you would get a 23 first. It says it's pretty close, but
Definitely not.
but
Throw Landry in there.
you might be able to get a 24 first.
Which is they're going to be the Travion Henderson class.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
I
a
would try
deal
to do that right there.
I would be willing to make. I think that
In
would
a
make a lot
heartbeat.
of sense.
Yeah, I agree. Now you go and you'd be putting yourself in a position where you're having back-to-back draft classes with multiple picks.
Yep.
A great reload. Definitely be going to 23 strong.
Would
it'd
you
be a good
throw
another foundation to
I
have?
feel like the C. Skirin guy might be a little hesitant to throw first at Matt Stafford here.
Even in 24, you think?
How would you feel about adding a second to Stafford?
This year's second, you thinking?
No, future second.
Future second. So maybe in the
I
same
would do it in a
class.
heartbeat. Yeah, just to get the
Yeah,
deal
I feel
done.
like-
You know,
I feel
just to
like
get a
by
first back.
24 I feel like in 24 we're competing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd much rather just say, hey, dude, I'll give you Stafford just to move down the draft. And then he's already looking at my team as a doo-doo butter team. So he's like, oh, it's going to be a high second, probably just by default.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I would do it just to sweeten the pie and just get it done. You
yeah,
know?
Stafford at 33 holds no value to us right now. We're
Right.
rocking with Justin Fields and we're rocking with Deshaun Watson. I feel really good about that core in a 1 QB league. And let's face it, by the time we're a contender, if we ever need a quarterback, we will have the players and assets to go get a quarterback because it's the most easily obtainable position in a 1 QB league.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so if you liked what we've seen here, and obviously if you look at the left-hand menu here, we have so much more that you could do with this Dynasty GM. And not only that, we have so much more to offer here in Dynasty Nerds at dynastynerds.com. If you want to become a member of the Nerd Herd and put your team into the Dynasty GM, right now, if you use the promo code AUDIT, we're going to give you guys 15% off to get in here, see all the things that Dynasty Nerds has got to offer to help you either push yourself over the edge or blow your team up and kind of like rebuild. Because remember, not all rebuilds are long-term. What I think we do with this team here, guys, was we did a pretty quick turnaround if all those trades go through. We can be a contender pretty quickly. So if you use that promo code AUDIT, you're going to get 15% off. Join the Nerd Herd. You get access to this great, beautiful tool, the Dynasty GM. You get access to the Dynasty Nerds film room so you can study this incoming rookie class and so much more. Check it out. Get in here. Put your team in here. I spend time on the Dynasty GM every single day trying to find trades for my team, how to make it better, either this year or long term. Promo code AUDIT. You could be a part of the Nerd Herd as well and find out how your Dynasty team can get taken to the next level.
Well, that's all we have for the show today. BGLOVER, BGLOVER, whatever your name is, you have been audited.